It's November 2024 and this month I am 5 years sober. I'm going to be talking to you today about the reason I decided to quit drinking. And for those of you who have recently quit drinking or are thinking about it, I'll give you 5 tips that will help you succeed on your alcohol-free journey. I'm Cath and I am 5 years sober this month. I have had a difficult journey with alcohol, and I'm going to explain a little bit about that first, and then if you keep watching I'll give you 5 tips that will help you succeed if you're choosing to quit alcohol as well. So I first got drunk when I was 12 years old and it was on holiday in Spain. I was a really shy child. I was so painfully shy. I had no confidence, no self-esteem, and I'd already been through a lot in life at that point. I'd experienced a lot of trauma. I did not know at the time I also had undiagnosed ADHD and potentially undiagnosed autism, and I just really struggled with confidence. So at the age of 12 we were on holiday in Spain and we were sat outside watching the entertainment, and I started finishing off drinks that were on the table. Just when there was a little bit left in the glass, I started finishing the drinks off and I got drunk. And for the first time in my life, I had confidence and I loved the way it made me feel. So that was my first experience with alcohol, and it was a positive one. At the time, it was positive. It made me feel like I could talk to people easily. It made me feel like I could have fun and relax, and I loved it. I absolutely loved the feeling. So when we got back home, I didn't drink for a few years, and it's not as easy to get away with, back home, but I started drinking again as a teenager, probably maybe around 14, 15. I would drink on the streets with my friends, and that kind of carried on all throughout my teenage years. So we would have like a specific way of doing it so we didn't get caught. So we would go out early. I had fake ID at one point, but it was when I was a bit older and it always worked. If not, we would ask someone to go in the shop, get us alcohol. We would drink early, get drunk, sober up early in time for when we had to be in. And that's how we did it for a few years. And again, I used alcohol for confidence at that point in my life. When I got to the age of 18, I had been suppressing my feelings for a long time. The childhood trauma I had experienced, I was pushing it all down, all the pain, I was pushing it down. And family life had been strained for a long time as well. So everything was just getting pushed down. At the age of 18, I experienced something else that caused me a lot of emotional pain, and that was the tipping point for me. I started drinking because I didn't want to feel my feelings, and because I was 18 and because it was easy for me to just go and buy alcohol whenever I wanted, I was drinking in the morning. I was drinking in my bedroom at home. I was drinking in the morning, afternoon, night, anytime. At the time I was at college studying beauty therapy, and I also had 3 jobs working in pubs. So whenever I wasn't in work at college, I was drunk. I would go to the pub on my own. My drinking became a problem and I was addicted to alcohol. At that time, I felt like I needed it because I was in so much emotional pain. I didn't know how to deal with my feelings. I wasn't coping very well, and the alcohol kind of numbed it temporarily. When I was drunk, I didn't feel that pain, but then as soon as the alcohol wore off, it was back with a vengeance. It was worse. I had all that shame associated with drinking, the way you feel after drinking, because it's a depressant anyway. So I was addicted, and at first I didn't realise it. I had that voice in me saying, I could stop if I wanted to, but I just don't want to. I had that typical addictive voice. Everything else was running smoothly. I was still going to work, I was still going to college. I was holding everything down until I wasn't. I started missing college. I started phoning in sick at work, and I was not in a good place at all. It was the loneliest point of my life. I had a bit of a wake-up call when my college tutor rang me, and she said, like, at this point I was doing my level 3 of beauty. I'd already studied for a year, and I'd already studied for more than a year. I'd done my level 2, I was now on my level 3, and I'd nearly finished it. And she said, are you going to throw, I know you're going through a difficult time, but are you going to throw everything away? You've worked so hard and you're so close to having this qualification. Are you going to throw it all away? And I remember thinking at the time, I remember the phone call, and I said, you know, thanks for ringing. But inside, I didn't care. I didn't care if I threw it all away in that moment. So after that phone call, I was thinking for a few days. I was thinking about it. I was thinking, I know that I need to leave the situation I'm in now. I know that I want to be independent. I want to have my own. I already had my own money. I already had a job, but obviously I wanted to do something I enjoyed, and at the time that was beauty, and I wanted to be able to have my own house and things like that. And I thought, I'm not going to throw it away, because I know that if I get this qualification, I can literally walk into a job and do something that I enjoy. So I kind of pushed my drinking. So I was going from daytime drinking, like any day of the week, day, evening, nighttime drinking. So I kind of pushed it all to the weekend, to like Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, because that was always seen as more socially acceptable. I did that, and I was lucky to be able to do that, because I say lucky, I was still drinking probably the same equivalent of alcohol, but I was just doing it on socially acceptable days. So I probably wasn't drinking any less. I was going out every weekend. I was getting drunk every weekend. That's seen as normal, isn't it? And I did that same pattern every weekend until I got pregnant. So I was pregnant with my oldest daughter at the age of 21, and I stopped drinking. Like, obviously I wasn't going to drink while I was pregnant. I stopped drinking. I had my daughter, and then we were, you know, new parents, you don't get to go out very often. And then at that point, my drinking just became like, it became social. It was just, if we got the chance to go out, we were, and my daughter was being minded by a family member, then I would get drunk. My hangovers were horrendous, even off really small amounts of alcohol. The next day, my hangovers were just so bad that I wouldn't be able to move out of bed all day, because I'd just be vomiting. I'd have a headache. I was never one of those people who could function with a hangover. There was people who drank more than me. Like, some of my friends drank so much more than me and were able to, like, I don't know, go shopping the next day and things like that. Whereas for me, even off very small amounts of alcohol, I was in bed for the whole of the next day, and if I moved, I would be sick. So that in itself is toxic, that especially as a parent, because, and I'm not judging anyone, I'm talking about my own experience, but as a parent, I don't want to, like, even though my daughter would be minded by someone else, and, you know, she'd be staying the night somewhere else, it's not good for me to be in bed the whole of the next day. And it carried on like that. Like, again, at that point, we weren't going out every weekend. It was just every now and then, because we were parents. I had my second daughter when I was 29, my youngest daughter, and at the age of 30, I was in a really, really dark place. I'd suppressed a whole lifetime of trauma. I'd had this toxic relationship with alcohol. My mental health was, at the time, at the age of 30, I was diagnosed with severe depression. I didn't even know I was depressed, but I was, at the time. There came a day when I didn't want to be here anymore, and that was the darkest day of my life. And on that day, I looked at my daughters, and I did not know I was depressed. I just knew that, all I knew that was life felt hard, and I just thought it was normal because that's all I'd ever known since I was little. So I was never used to life being easy, so I just thought this is how it's going to be forever. And on that day, I got an emergency appointment at the doctor's, and I was diagnosed with severe depression. And it sounds weird, but it was one of the best days of my life because it gave me hope. I still didn't quit drinking at this point, but I started to change my life. I started to change the way I ate, the people I surrounded myself with. I started to learn to love myself, to change my habits. I had a lot of counselling. I was on antidepressants for a while at that time, and I needed them at that point. I needed them to be able to pick me up to a point where I could help myself. I completely transformed my life, but at that point, even after all that work, I still hadn't quit drinking. I fast forward to 2019. On holiday, we were in Gran Canaria on holiday, me and my husband and our 2 daughters, and I had not drank for 6 days of the holiday. I think we were there for like 10 or 11 days. I'd not drank for 6 days of the holiday, and I'd been doing all right. And then we were in an Irish bar, and I am of Irish heritage, and I was brought up with Irish music, and I love it. And in that atmosphere, it's like I was sat there and I felt like I couldn't relax, because that's what I used to use alcohol for, to relax. That was one of the reasons I used it for. And I felt like I couldn't relax, and I wanted to just enjoy myself. And I ended up buying a glass of wine, and as soon as that glass of wine was in my hand, I relaxed instantly before I'd even had a sip of it. Like, I just was sat there and I felt relaxed. And even then I thought, oh, this is quite psychological. This is quite, like, I haven't even drank it and I'm feeling relaxed automatically. And that's when I knew it was kind of, it felt really uncomfortable. It felt like a bit of a toxic habit because of that reason. Anyway, I drank the wine, I relaxed. I felt rough the next day. This was like literally 1 glass of wine. I didn't feel horrendous the next day, but I felt worse than some other people would if they had a lot more to drink. I was completely dehydrated. I had a bad headache all day. I felt guilty as well the next day. I thought, why did I do that? And then for the rest of the holiday, I didn't drink again. So it was like 6 days without drinking. I had a drink for one night, and then the rest of the nights I didn't drink. And then, so the same year, 2019, so this was in June, that was June when we went on holiday. Then fast forward to November 2019, I think I'd had a few drinks on and off, but instead of having wine, I'd changed to vodka, which, although it sounds more, vodka is a lot more intense for a lot of people, but for me it wasn't. Vodka didn't get me drunk like wine does. So that was kind of my way of like downgrading from wine to vodka. Wine would get me drunk like that, like half a glass. I was tipsy already. So vodka, it took me a lot of vodka to get drunk, and because I wasn't drinking a lot of vodka, I never got to the point of feeling drunk. And even now, I'm thinking, I don't know why I even bothered drinking it, but it was November 2019, and we were going to a wedding. Me and my husband were going to a wedding in the night, and the girls were being looked after by someone, and it crossed my mind to drive to the wedding. I thought, oh, I'm gonna drive, I'm not gonna drink. And at the last minute I changed my mind. I chose not to drive, and I chose to have a drink. And I had vodka. I had just a single shot of vodka with soda and lime, and I had that same glass all night. there was just something in me that I was drinking it, but at that same glass I wasn't in the slightest bit tipsy when the night had finished. And I thought, what have I just done? Why did I choose not to drive for the sake of this little tiny drop of clear liquid? I've just let this clear liquid control me. I've just let alcohol control me again. And that was kind of my wake-up call. And I never drank again till this day. Oh, sorry, I haven't drank today. I'm just sorry. Yeah, but I haven't drank for 5 years now. So it was like 5 years ago, that wedding, and that was kind of the wake-up call, and I haven't drank since. My opinion on alcohol now is, I know that alcohol it makes people feel good in the moment. I miss that drunk feeling, if I'm being honest. I miss that drunk feeling. I miss that being able to easily relax, but I do not miss the aftermath of alcohol. I don't miss how horribly hungover I felt for days afterwards, mainly the day after, but even for days afterwards. I don't miss the fact that my mental health was on the floor for like 5 days after drinking, to the point where I would feel like I didn't want to be here. Like, it affected me so badly, and I don't miss that. I don't miss the guilt associated with thinking, oh, we could have gone here today, but instead I've been hungover. We could have taken the girls out for a day out, but because I'm hungover, I've got to be in bed all day. I don't miss the guilt and the feeling like I feel like a bad mum. I don't miss that. I don't miss that fear that you get the next day after drinking, thinking, what did I say? And to be honest, I always think I was all right when I had a drink. I got a bit louder, and I wasn't really an angry drunk or anything. I just got a bit louder and a bit more confident, and that was it really. But I wasn't an angry drunk, but I still had that feeling of, did I say anything stupid? Did I do anything stupid? And it was just, I don't miss any of that. What I love about the fact of not drinking is just feeling fresh the next day, feeling like I'd much rather go on a walk in a forest. I'd much rather do that at the weekend than go on a night out. I'd much rather take the dog out for a walk with my family, or go out for breakfast somewhere and actually be able to eat it and not feel sick because I drank the night before. Like, I'm so grateful for not drinking. It is hard to get past that social aspect, and especially for someone who's neurodivergent like myself, it's learning how to feel okay in social environments without alcohol is difficult, but I am getting there slowly. I'm quite an awkward person in general, so I do find that difficult, but I'm getting there. And here's the thing about alcohol. It is the most commonly, it's one of those things where so many people do it and so many people want you to do it, and it's weird. It's a toxin. It's completely toxic for your body. It destroys lives, not for everyone of course, but it can destroy lives. It can, like, both physically and emotionally, and cause problems in families. It's just toxic. It's a toxin. Moving on from that, I have got 5 tips. If you've just newly quit drinking, or you're thinking about it, or it's something you want to do or you've been thinking about for a while, I've got 5 tips that helped me, and I think it would also help you to succeed with your kind of journey through quitting alcohol. Tip number 1 is to don't put too much pressure on yourself. I know that if I just said to myself, I am never drinking again. You all hear people say that when they've got a hangover. Everyone says it, never drinking again. If you say to yourself, I'm never drinking again, That's a lot of pressure. And if you actually think, right, I can't ever drink again, you're putting so much pressure on yourself and probably more likely to fail if you do it like that. Think about when people try and cut whole food groups out of the diet, like when people try and cut carbs out of the diet, they're just constantly thinking about carbs and craving carbs. Carbs are obviously different because healthy carbs are needed, are essential for life and for fuel, whereas alcohol isn't. But you get the idea. It's like if you kind of tell yourself, I can never have that again, there's going to be a part of you that wants it. So what I did instead was I thought to myself, I don't want alcohol in my life, and I'm going to take it every day as it comes. I don't know what will happen in the future. Maybe I'll drink again, but hopefully I won't. I kind of just took that pressure off a little bit. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is talk to your friends and family in advance. Do not just wait until you're in the middle of a night out and say, and I'm not drinking tonight. That's when the peer pressure will happen. And it is annoying that happens. It is annoying that you're trying to make a positive change and people are like, oh, go on, just have a drink. It happened to me too. Do not just leave it till the last minute, because you're more likely to get that peer pressure. Instead, talk to your family and talk to your friends and say, I'm quitting drinking. I don't want it in my life. It's not good for me. And I'd appreciate your support with this. So please don't ask me if I want to drink. Please don't try and encourage me to drink. I'd like you to support me. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to plan ahead. Think about why, when you're going out, what are you going to drink instead? Think about where you're going, what situations could come up, and what things might make you drink. And if you can be prepared for that, then you can have solutions in place. So for example, if you felt awkward when you were out, that could be a situation that would make you want to drink. So think, right, okay, try and think in advance, what would make me feel less awkward? That's going to be personal for every individual person. So think about things like that. What am I going to say if someone says, oh, I'll buy you a drink? What am I going to drink instead? Think about things like that. If I do this, is this going to make me more likely to want to have a drink? Just plan ahead for things like that. Tip number 4 is to think about why you're doing it. What are your reasons for quitting alcohol? Are you doing it for your health? Are you doing it for your mental health, your physical health, your well-being? Are you doing it for your family? Are you doing it because you've seen it destroy people you care about's lives? Are you doing it? There's so many different reasons. Think about why you're doing it and let that motivation be more powerful than that inner voice that says, oh, go on, I'll be fine, I'll just have one. Let that motivation be more powerful and think about that. And tip number 5 is to, if you can, talk to people who have quit drinking. Talk to people who've done it themselves and how has it improved their lives. That can give you like a massive motivational boost to do it yourselves. Surround yourself with people who are not going to push you into drinking. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. If you're going to surround yourself, say if you, for example, know that you've got certain friends who are going to be drinking heavily at the weekend, and they're going to be like, oh, go on, just have one, just have another drink. Maybe it's better, like, obviously I'm not saying don't be friends with those people, maybe it's better to be with them in different situations, like maybe during the day, maybe go for a coffee with them or for a walk, rather than go on the night out with them, because especially in the early days, this is when it's crucial to make it easy for yourself. It's crucial to make it easy and to be able to build your willpower. Once your willpower's got stronger when it comes to alcohol, then in the future you may be able to go out with those same people and be like, no, I'm fine, I've got me glass of soda water or whatever. Like, sorry, I know that sounds boring, like I don't drink any fizzy drinks either, so my alternative, if I go out, I'll either drink ginger beer, which is fizzy, but I only drink certain brands which are natural, like made from natural carbonated water and natural ginger and things like that. So I either drink ginger beer or ginger ale, whatever it's called, or soda water with fresh lime, and that's my kind of alternative to alcohol. Or I'll just drink normal water, but no one knows what's in your glass. Everyone's drunk themselves, so they're not going to notice. And as long as you can like set yourself up to succeed, there's no reason why you can't make it work for you. And just understand this as well, you're human, and you know what, if you do quit drinking and then you have a bit of a setback and you drink, don't give up, don't let it make you fall off the wagon, just take each day as it comes. So I hope this video's helped, and I would really, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I will be doing regular updates on things like this, so thank you so much for watching. Bye.